So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create all of the tables that our project needs. So in order to create the tables, we need to open up the terminal. So I'm going to open up the terminal here. I'm going to click on View, and then I'm going to click on Terminal. And then once I open the terminal, all you need to do is that you need to type the following in order to start creating tables. So before I start creating tables, let me explain the tables that I'm going to create. The tables that I'm going to create are three tables. I'm going to create a table called Bookings, and another table called appointments, and a third table called departments. So what are these? These three tables represent each one represents something. So for example, the departments table is going to store the information about each clinic, uh, uh, and um, and the name, the title, and the description, and things like that. The bookings obviously is the table that's gonna store bookings that users are gonna make, and appoint appointments is a table where it's gonna just uh, managed by the hospital, and people there, the staff there will add appointments, and users will be able to select from these appointments. So I know that this might sound confusing right now, but once I finish, you will understand everything. So let's start creating these three tables. So to create the first table, I'm going to say PHP artisan, and then make colon migration, and then the name of the table. In order to create a table, we need to say create, and then underscore, and then the name of the table, and it must be in the plural form. So I'm going to start by creating the departments table. I'm going to say departments underscore table, and then I'm going to hit enter. This is going to create a table. As you can see, it's going to create a table called, it's not actually going to create the table, it's going to create a file that's going to allow me to specify the columns that I want in the table. But before I specify the columns, let's create the other two tables. So the second table is going to be, I'm going to just type PHP artisan one more time, and then make colon migration, and then create underscore, and then the name of the table. The second table is the appointments, and underscore, and then table. And again, pay attention to the name here. It's in the plural form. This is very, very important. Appointments. You need to add an S. You need to make it in the plural form, because otherwise Laravel, you would need to take care of a few of many things actually. But if you name your table in the plural form, Laravel is going to take care of a lot of things, and Laravel is very smart and is going to take care of a lot of things on behalf of you. So once you are done, just hit enter, and this is going to create the second table. And then we need to create a last table called bookings. So I'm going to create another table here. I'm going to say create, and then I'm going to say bookings underscore table, and then I'm going to hit enter. So now we have three tables. We have three files. The first one is create departments table, and then create appointments table, and then create bookings table. But the question is, where are these files? These files have been created in a folder called database migrations, and then you will find many files. At the end, you should find that we have three files. We have here a file that has a very long name, and then at the end it says create departments table, and then another file which has a long name, and then create appointments table, and then a third file which also has a long name, and then create bookings table. So let's open the first one. If you open the first one, which is the departments table, file.php, you'll find that it's just a class. It's just a PHP class that says here create departments table. And here, what you need to do is that you need to specify the columns that you want to have inside that departments table. So let's start working on that. So the departments, as I told you, the departments represent, this departments table represent the clinics, or let's say the issues that people have and will need to go to a specific clinic to be treated. So we have, for example, the eyes department, maybe the psychiatry clinic, for department, maybe another one for um, teeth. I don't know. There are many things, many problems people have. So here the departments is going to represent these things. So the departments must have obviously an ID. Any table must have an ID, and then it must have a name. So I'm going to say here table, and then string, because the name is going to be a string, and then the name. The name here inside the function, which is the string. The string is the data type, and the name is the name of the column. And then I'm going to say table, and then the third column that I want is going to be the information. So I'm going to say string, and then in info. I'm going to say info. Information maybe, or description. Let's say description. It's better to say description so that people know which clinic they should register for in order to get treated. And also we want, let's say, an image, for example. You can say table, and then string for the image. So the image is going to be a URL, so it must be a string. So I'm going to say image. So we have here for this departments table, we have these columns. Again, these columns are the ID, the name, the description, and at the end, if you will find at the end here we have what's called the timestamps. What is this? This is just created by default by Laravel. Just leave it as is. This is very important. You need to leave it as is, otherwise you are going to get an error. So just leave this timestamps like this. And then all you need to do now is that you need to click on File and then Save All. And then let's work on the second file that we have. So the second file that we have is the appointments. So for the appointments, what do we need for the appointments? The appointments is going to store obviously the appointments, and it's going to store also the clinic and the appointments that this clinic has. So for example, a clinic might have, let's see here, let me here type first here. I'm going to say table, and then let's say the department name. So each appointment must belong to a department. Therefore, I'm going to say table, and then string, and then department name, because each department, for example, let's say the um, psychiatry is going to have appointments, right? And people should choose from one of these appointments. So we need to use the psychiatry, the name of the department, as well as the ID. So here I'm going to say the string, the department name, and also we want the department ID. So here I'm going to say table, and then integer, because the department ID is obviously an integer. So I'm going to say integer, and then I'm going to say department underscore ID. And don't worry about where we are going to get these from. We are going to get these from the departments table, and later you will see all of this. Don't worry about this for now. What I want you to worry about now, and what I want you to focus on now, is the columns that we are going to have, and the relationship between columns. So here we have the department. Make sure that you don't have any typos. Department name and department ID, and then we want the date. So I'm going to say table, and then the appointment date. I'm going to say date, time. So this is going to be just appointment date. And we need also the status. So I'm going to say here table, and then I'm going to say boolean, and then I'm going to say taken or status. You can name it taken or status. So this taken is going to store whether this appointment is taken or not. So if it's taken, then nobody else can take it because somebody else has taken it. If it's not taken, then you can make an appointment. You can register your appointment and take that appointment. So this is very, very important. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here again, make sure that you have here the department ID and department name and the appointment date and the taken and the timestamp. So we are done here. I'm gonna click here on file and then save all. I'm gonna click on file and then save all. And then I'm gonna also you can, by the way, you can store the, if you wish, you can also store the more information about the department URL, even if you wish to do that. But let's keep it simple for now. And finally, the bookings. I'm going to open the bookings. So for the bookings, I'm going to open the bookings. So for the bookings, let me here open the bookings. So for the bookings, we need the name of the user. I'm going to say here table